Yo guys, in this settings video I'm going to go over a few of the most important settings that affect run and gun gameplay in the game. I'm going to tell you what I personally use, what I know other top players use, and I'm going to tell you how to adjust these settings to fit your gameplay and make you an all-round better player at run and gun. This is a pretty long video, but I'm certain that some of you guys out there are going to take something away from it if you watch it the whole way through and maybe adjust the way you play to be better players and maybe adjust the settings you use. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and yeah, peace. So guys, before we get into the individual settings and what I think is important to change to do with sensitivity and Deadzone and things like that, firstly you need to establish what third person control type you're going to use. This is super important, and this will dictate the whole way you play, and you really have to get this down perfectly to be able to play the best you can possibly play. So I'm going to tell you guys two, maybe three, that top players can use. Now obviously there's so many people playing run and gun, there's going to be a few people that say I play good using this, I play good using that, but here is the three in general that I know. I know basically all top players that I've ever come in contact with. I know what settings they use, so it's going to be really good for you guys to listen to this, because I'm telling you now, like, out of, let's say, 50 top players that I've spent time with over the years, like 90% of them use one of these three. I'd say like 99% play in one of these three ways. So the first one you've got is standard FPS 2. Now this is obviously the most common one. I made a video about this in 2014, the day it came out, this setting, because I could see instantly it was going to be so influential on run and gun. And I taught a load of my friends how to play it, and it really changed the way they play. So this is the easiest, most comfortable way to play the game. Is it the best? We'll talk about that, but it's definitely up there, and it's the most comfortable way for most people to hold the controller, play the game. Now, what does it mean, standard FPS 2? It means that you run with R1, you shoot with R2, and aim with L2. Now, you may see my settings as standard FPS 2 as default because that's what I play, but I don't actually use exactly standard FPS 2. What I do is I use button assignments to change my L2 and L1 around, because for me, the best way to lock onto a target, the quickest way of relocking onto a target is with L1, not L2. So what I actually play is L1 to aim, R2 to shoot, and R1 to sprint with X to roll, obviously. That to me overall is the most superior way of playing. I've played everything. I can play claw, I've played standard claw, alternate claw, anything you guys can think of over the years I've played. If you look back at my videos, like, you would be surprised the settings I was using in them. They're all scattered and different. But for me, the best one is standard FPS 2 with L1 to aim. So that's my advice straight away for you guys to use. Now the next one that you can use, and the next best I would say, is alternate. But if you're going to play alternate, you need to play alternate claw. This is what I've played for a very long time as well, and it's what a lot of top players play. It allows you to be fast and move quick and really have a lot of speed in your gameplay when you play alternate claw. So it's one of those two you've got to pick, standard FPS 2 or alternate claw. The only other option that I can think of that a few people played, Mercy OG played that way, and sorry, Synthetics plays this way too, is alternate FPS 2. That's where you sprint with R2, aim with L1, and shoot with R1. Now I never tried that myself. I could never get my head around sprinting with R2, but that's another thing for you guys to look into. So they're the three types of control type that I would say you have to choose if you want to be a top player at run and gun on GTA. Now, another thing to add quickly that you guys need to take into account that's super important with choosing a control type is how comfortable you are playing it and how quick you can make decisions playing it. Now, I'm going to show you a clip from one of my old montages that, if you watch it, I'll slow it down in bits. It shows you exactly how you need to play in run and gun. You need to make decisions quickly. Every encounter with another person is a decision. If you look at this clip, every single encounter, there's like a really small microsecond that I make a decision to outplay that person. Now, I was much more active back then, so I don't even think I could do this sort of stuff now, but when you're running in run and gun, you need to be playing with settings that allow you to roll instantly, like straight away, allow you to lock on instantly to the head and not miss. It's very, very important. If you see in this clip, I roll exactly after like 4 or 5 people in a row, and you wouldn't even notice it when watching the clip, but this is the sort of thing you need to look at when you're looking at people's gameplays to try and make your own gameplay better. So if you look at the clip, I'm counter rolling everyone, I'm making decisions. Is it best for me to sidestep? Is it best for me to roll? Is it best for me to go for the quick headshot? And in this clip I do all three or four of those things I just said. So yeah, moving on to the next thing. Aiming sensitivity. I'm going to tell you what it is, what it does, and why it's important to have it in a certain way. Now, first thing we'll do is look at it and I'll explain what it does, because it's actually a little bit more confusing than you think it is. So third person aiming sensitivity, mine's maximum. Now what you would think this does is dictate the most important part of aiming for us, which would be getting headshots. So when you lock onto someone, aiming up, right? So that's what you think that setting would dictate, but this isn't actually true. So if you look, this is maximum sensitivity. If I go change it to 0 sensitivity, which you think would be drastically different, insanely slow, it's the exact same. Like, it is the exact same. Now, this is why it's confusing and why some people have slightly lower than maximum, because people think that maximum sensitivity will be too sensitive for a headshot, but actually it's default. Every setting you use for that is the same when you lock onto a character, either an online person or an NPC. What that setting actually dictates is how fast you can free aim. Now look, this is me moving my stick around in a circle as fast as I can on 0 sensitivity. Now if I put it all the way up to the max, we'll see a drastic difference there. Boom. Like, you can move your camera crazy fast when you're aimed in, and then obviously the look around sensitivity is when you're not aimed in, looking around. So that one's not too important, you want that maximum. Now why is it important to have maximum if all it dictates is basically your free aim when you're not locked on? The reason I have it is because you want to be as fast as possible at moving your camera. It's very important because in situations in gangbang or run and gun, manipulating the camera can favor you massively. So if you're shooting someone, and obviously we're going to come out of aiming, so say we're locked onto someone in a TDM, I can't even lock onto them right now. Let's just pretend. So we're locked onto someone in a TDM. After we roll and lose that lock, we can move the camera to the side, 90 degrees. So we lose the lock, we move it to 90 degrees. And what that does is on their screen, say someone's facing me over there right now, when I come out of my roll, I'm actually to the side. And this, in pistols especially, but in everything I do it now, to be honest, it will make you a lot more difficult of a target to hit. And you obviously cannot do that sort of camera manipulation quick enough if you're on a very low sensitivity. So I recommend you guys firstly put your sensitivity all the way to the max. Now moving on from aiming sensitivity, I'm going to tell you guys, to me, since this setting has come out, this is the most important setting for having good aim. This is the setting that you need to find out what is your limit, what is the best version of it that you can play on, and that setting is Deadzone. And I'm glad I'm finally doing this video, because Deadzone wasn't actually out originally in this game when it came out on PS4. It came out a little bit later into 2014 or 2015, I can't remember. It was around the first Christmas update. And this setting is huge. This will completely change the way that you aim. And if you are playing on maximum, then if you don't believe me, go try and put it to 0 and play a deathmatch, and you are going to play probably horribly, because it completely changes it. It's more important than any of these other settings to do with sensitivity, which is quite misleading, because I still talk to people now about Deadzone and they don't even know what it does. Now you're going to have to bear with me, because it's hard to explain without physically showing you my hands and the game at the same time, which I'm not going to do right now, but I'll talk you through it. So basically Deadzone dictates what movement is registered on the thumbstick when you're moving it. So the lower Deadzone you've got, the more sensitive the thumbstick is, right? So in theory, if you get good with the lower sensitivity, you'll be quicker at getting headshots. You can still be very good at the game playing on any of these, but in my opinion, to be the best version of yourself and be the fastest you can be, you want to be aiming to be from 0 to 4 max. In my opinion, there are players that can play high, and you know, that's cool. It's possible to do. I've played on high before, but in my experience of playing GTA Run and Gun for 6 years plus, like, 0 Deadzone for me is by far superior to the rest. So I'll show you quickly what it does. So aiming in, it affects all of it the same if you're locked onto someone or if you're not locked onto someone. So it basically registers how how much movement is picked up how quickly. So if I move the thumbstick slightly, you can see my thumb is moving. My thumb is moving slightly right now, and it's registering it on the screen. That's because I have the lowest dead zone, so any movement that I do on my thumbstick is registered, right? So the tiniest little movement and I start aiming up to her head, right? And it's very sensitive. But if you put it to the max or closer to max, it creates a gap in the thumbstick where movement isn't registered. So in theory, it makes you slower, but it might make you more controlled, so that you've got to find the balance really. So if I put that up, now to me, I can feel it already. It's crazy, the difference. So like right now, if I aim here, I'm moving the thumbstick right now and it's not registering on the screen. Like I have moved it pretty considerably and it's not registered yet. That's because the dead zone is maximum. So finally it's starting to register now, right? But the difference is crazy. And if you play it in a deathmatch, you will notice. So I suggest you guys try this out. And my advice to you is to try and get it as low as you can to be good at the game. Most top players that I know, and I know their settings, majority of them use 0 to 2, 3, 4, maximum 4. Alright, so there's an idea for you guys on what to base your settings around with Deadzone. Okay guys, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you've watched the whole way through, then respect to you, leave a comment and I'll give you a cookie, because that is a long video, but it's very in-depth and I know some of you will learn a lot from it. So in summary, what you need to take away from this video is have a control type that fits your play style, that you can play comfortably with, and very quick, have a very high sensitivity and a very low dead zone. And yeah, thanks for watching guys, hopefully it helped you.